Welcome to the Hyperbeat podcast. Each episode, we chat with fitness professionals to get the story behind the business they created. All right, guys, welcome back to the Hyperbeat podcast. We're very, very lucky today to be joined by Chris Eves, personal trainer from WA. Chris has got a quite interesting story and background about his journey through fitness. So, Chris, welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, g'day, Nick. Thanks for having me on. It's pretty exciting actually for me.
Oh, thank you. It's pretty early in Perth. I think it's about 5:30 a.m. over there.
It is. Yep, sun's just coming up, but
very nice.
Yeah, as a PT, nothing I'm not used to the early mornings.
Oh, thank you again for joining us, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's go from the start. Tell us about your origin story in the fitness world and how you became the personal trainer you are today and where you came from.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Kind of an interesting story because I don't think that I set out with the intention of being a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. I actually, out of school, I got a cabinet making apprenticeship and got involved in the building industry here in Perth, and had worked my way up the corporate ladder, so to speak. Got a job as a building supervisor. Then, at the time, the company I worked for, the Adelaide operation, needed someone with a bit of experience and seniority, I suppose. So the company I work for paid for me to shift over to Adelaide and promoted me to operations manager to sort of bring the operation under control over there with a brief to be there for 3 years, and then they'd pay to move me back. So 2.5 years into that, the stress was just getting a bit much. I realised I sort of felt trapped, I think. Had this corporate life, I think, that I'd worked towards and realised that it wasn't what I loved doing, and had a discussion with my wife at one time, and she said, "Oh, why don't you try and find something that you do because you love it?" And it hit me at that point because I didn't really realise what it was that I loved to do. I'd lost myself in this role in the building company. My friends were my fellow employees, and I pretty much just had become a workaholic. So a lot of them said they reckon it was a bit of a midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis, right,
yeah. When I said I was going to be a personal trainer. So the way it actually eventuated, I'd looked at doing a whole type of different jobs and that sort of thing, and found that some of the things I'd done in my life involved being around people. And I just happened to be driving home from work one day and saw this van for a fitness franchise and phoned them up. And it was an outdoor group PT fitness franchise. And it wasn't so much the being a PT that attracted me to it. It was more the being involved with the people and being involved in a group of people. Some of the things I'd done that I reflected on that I enjoyed were being an MC at my brother-in-law's wedding. And I'd done that a couple of times and played a little bit of music as well. So it was the being up in front of people and just sort of sharing what natural gifts I had that really lit me up.
Were you always into your fitness? Like, did you work out quite often?
I wouldn't say I worked out traditionally. I was always pretty active. I played cricket, tennis, rugby league as a kid, and was always climbing trees and doing active sort of stuff, and was always conscious of my health, which is probably what prompted me to look in that direction. I'd been to cycling, triathlon and that sort of thing. In fact, a few of the guys that worked for the building company I was with got me into adventure racing as well, and that was something that I loved. That was really good. So I didn't typically go to the gym, do my workout, go home type thing. I probably, in all my life up to that point, had spent about 3 months in a gym, which was mainly around making sure my body stayed in condition to play rugby league and take the knocks and have a bit of muscle bulk for protection and that sort of thing. So I wasn't really a gym junkie. Wasn't your typical type PT that you would, I didn't fit the stereotype really, I don't think. So it was that. Then I found this fitness franchise, got involved with them, and that's where it started pretty much. And then that was 7 years ago, and I'd enjoyed that incredibit. Big change financially from what I was earning working for the builder to then running my own business. So bit of adjustment, but it's amazing what, when you find yourself in the right place doing something you love.
And something you're passionate about, correct, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Those things like the financial things just tend to fall into place, Yeah, sometimes you get down to the last $5 in your bank account, wondering where
What have
where
you
your
done?
next meal's going to come from.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how in the time it's quite stressful, but when you look back, it just all seems to work out.
Yeah,
So,
everything kind of happens for a reason. So you purchased the franchise. Do you still have the franchise, or have you moved on to kind of your own personal
No,
brand?
no. Yeah, I'd moved on to my own personal brand. I was in the franchise. It come up for my renewal period and got a little bit political, I suppose, with the way it all worked out. But I didn't feel like I was pretty self-motivated, had lots of good ideas, and all credit to the franchise. I couldn't have got into the fitness industry if it wasn't for them, and pretty good bunch of people that I worked amongst. But they're just the structure, and I felt there were things that were a little bit outdated. It was a system-driven 20-year-old business, and so it was at that time when I was up for my renewal period that I stepped away and started my own brand and got some pretty good feedback from my clients actually at the time, that they liked some of the things I was doing differently with lesson plans and that sort of thing. So, and that was March 2016. So it's good 2 or 3 years ago.
A couple of years ago. So how
yeah.
did you go with the transition moving across from the franchise to your own personal training brand? Did you bring a lot of clients with you?
It's, as I say, it was a little bit political, so I had to sort of announce to them that I wasn't continuing as a franchise and had to leave it to them to contact me to say that they wanted to do something else. I did advise them that I was going to continue as a personal trainer, but at that time, officially I had no clients. Luckily for me, a lot of them said that they wanted to continue training with me. So, and that's, I think, pretty typical of the PT industry, where people develop a relationship with their trainer, not with a brand or anything like that. So that was a bit of a rocky period because I did lose a few clients that, sometimes I find people are just looking for an excuse to stop training for one reason or another, whether they're not getting results or their work's changing or whatever. So, a bit of a situation like that, I guess, is just the excuse that people need to drop off. So I did lose a few people, and went through a bit of a rebuilding phase and also finding my own feet with my own brand. Had to then write all my own lesson plans where the franchise provided all the lesson plans and all you had to do was go through the book and pick whatever ones you wanted. So, it's a bit of a rebuilding phase. I found myself really in what I thought was the right place for me. I could do these things that I'd been thinking might work for myself. And, with pretty much what I'd say was good success. It's really continued to have the positive impact on people's lives. I dragged a few people around True Grit with me a couple of times. Well, they dragged me, maybe, one of the two. So, we did a few of those types of things together as well. So, it just really gave me the freedom to be myself.
Well, mate, I think that leads really well into the way you've built your personal brand through social media. I viewed quite a few of your YouTube videos. You do a lot on Facebook. So how have you actually driven that through the community that you've created?
I think it was just the social media is a great way to connect with people, but I think people also, especially nowadays, are looking for more of a personal connection as well. So for me, I found the social media side of things was a great way to give people the opportunity to get to know me and come out to my sessions. And for them, I think it was a good way of getting some familiarity and reducing that fear barrier. I had one particular client said she'd stalked me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and something else, so she knew quite a lot about me before she came out. And I think, and she was a lady who suffered from anxiety. So for her to see me and feel like she knew me before she came out to a session.
Yeah, it takes a lot of that away. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So it breaks down a barrier in a lot of way. And, I'd read quite a few books and listened to podcasts about how you should build a social media brand and all that sort of thing. And the experts say you should post 3 times a day and this time. And I did try to do that at one point, but I just found it was just too much when my focus was on being a PT, not on being a
it's difficult
social media
to
expert.
come up with content all the time as well. You're always got to be thinking about what you're putting up next. So do you do more of documenting rather than creating content?
A little bit of both. I started doing a weekly newsletter, and I try and make sure that I did that once a week every Wednesday, and I had a system around the way that would work. It would involve a Facebook Live video that I'd put on my YouTube channel and just notes. And those are things where I'd keep in contact with my clients. But I found when I was doing these Facebook Live videos, I'd get, hundreds of views on them in some stage with only 40 odd clients. So I was sort of wondering where these other views come from. So I used that as a way to, again, get people to know me outside of that. So that was a regular thing I did to get myself out there. I did a little bit of targeted Facebook marketing and that sort of thing.
How did you go with that?
Yeah, I had a few clients, probably, if I was to be realistic, I'd say over the years I had 2 clients come and say, I saw your Facebook ad, so I want to do your free trial. So you wouldn't say that it worked great, but it was part of the presence and part of the picture. So, but I found I got more traction with things like, this is Glenn. He's just finished 800 sessions with us and he's running a half marathon on the weekend and blah, blah, blah. So those type of posts really got a lot of traction, a lot of visibility. When you have a Facebook page, for people that don't know, you get those stats that you can see when you create a post.
Your insights.
You can see how many people have seen it. Yep. So, so I found those type of posts got a lot of traction. So that's what I would try and do. Just, organically as I went, I'd take a picture of someone who achieved something or take a little snapshot video of a session, and posting those things, I think, really gave people a good insight. And trying to be authentic and not mechanical was probably a bit more of a key to gaining some traction with social media.
You've hit the nail on the head there, trying to be as authentic as possible. I think it really helps people relate to you as a person, you as a brand. And like you said, it really breaks down those barriers that people might have built up in their head before they actually contact you.
So
definitely. I think it can work really well.
Yeah.
So, mate, you've got a very exciting project that you're working on at the moment, the Ninja Trailer. Sounds very intriguing. Do you want to run us through what that's all about?
Yeah, cool. So that's the backstory behind it's probably the most intriguing part. It's I'll elaborate in a sec, but it's sort of progress is a little bit slow on that at the moment. But I actually on the suggestion of a couple of my clients, I applied for Australian Ninja Warrior Season 1, which people might have heard of the TV show. So I was lucky enough to get an audition and sort of got hooked on the sport from there. I've applied it every year since then, never had more than the audition once. And although I don't think it was a lack of ninja ability that is why I didn't get picked up, they have a number of things I look for. But anyway, I had decided that I wanted to build something to train on at home, because I was following all these other ninjas on Instagram and they're all doing this sort of thing and building their backyard things and stuff. And we were actually renting at the time, so I couldn't do that in my backyard type thing. So I had this idea that I would build a trailer and hang these ninja obstacles off it and all that sort of thing. And my clients love the idea. And for me, like, I'd often talk about I was going to do this or going to do that, and it was probably more of a dream than a goal. Anyway, some of them really latched onto the idea and loved it. And so I started I'd actually built a salmon ladder, which, again, for those that don't know, that's like a set of different hooks, and you've got to do like a chin up and lift the bar up a set of hooks and sort of go up. So I built one of those in my backyard that had 4 rungs on it, and it was just freestanding, and I pegged it to the ground type thing. And so I actually took that to a session between Christmas and New Year. I'd run what I call holiday sessions. So I took that out one year, and I was amazed at the amount of people that, because in the outdoor space you don't have equipment. You don't have like machines or pull-up bars or anything like that. It's all dumbbells, kettlebells, free weights, and you use your body weight.
Yeah, so, whatever you can carry into the park. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So the one thing that I guess could be missing is the pull type exercises, particularly like a pull-up. And So none of my clients had typically done that sort of stuff, and that type of business attracted people that weren't gym junkies. So a lot of them had never been in a gym, and I was just amazed when I took this thing out and said, "Okay, who wants to have a crack at a pull-up?" I was amazed at the amount of people that said, "Oh, I've never done one. I don't think I'm going to be able to do one." And boom, there goes their first pull-up.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, whether that was with the bar above the head, or I'd also drop it down to sort of knee height so they could lay under it and pull up for, people that didn't quite have the strength. So, and just seeing people go, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, and then away they went and did it, that just really gave me quite a buzz. So I, again, with a bit of collaboration from some clients, we started up this GoFundMe page to get this ninja trailer thing moving, and pretty quickly I'd raised $500, bought an old 1970s Franklin caravan.
Oh, very cool.
That was, it was already gutted. So I didn't need to do too much there. And I've just started work on, and I had this design in my head. I made a little cardboard model so I could show people what my idea was going to look like. So sort of partway through building that at the minute, and big ideas, and say there's a fair bit of work to do to it to make sure that it's strong enough. I've got to upgrade the floor frame and that. So at the moment, the floor's out of it, and I'm rust proofing the floor frame and collecting little bits and pieces to go on it. So that's sort of where it's at the moment.
So what's the ultimate big plan for the trailer?
So the other part of my story, which we haven't sort of touched on yet, July this year, our lease was up in our rental property, and we couldn't find another rental. I have teenage kids and 2 dogs, and this and that, self-employed, and sometimes that doesn't look too good to prospective landlords, especially if you're self-employed. So my wife and I had always had this dream to build a bus and travel around the country living in it. So the Ninja trailer was already in plan and in progress, and the idea behind that was to give people access to try things that they didn't think they could do or that they'd never tried, like with when I took my salmon ladder out to my sessions, gave people the chance to try their first pull-up. So the idea behind the Ninja trailer was to take it to schools and communities, councils, and a lot of people focus on kids with that sort of thing, which, I love that. I think that's great. But I think as a society and as a culture, we've lost our ability to move naturally. So, I wanted to target adults as much as I could, particularly the corporate lifestyle. I'd see so many people come out to sessions with short hip flexors because they were sitting in a chair.
At a desk all day, yeah.
Yeah,
10, 12 hours behind a computer.
Yeah, so the original plan was to just have it mobile, take it behind my car, use it at my sessions, obviously, and then, go to schools, councils, whatever else it might be. So then that plan's kind of like exploded tenfold with the whole bus idea, because in July we decided that we would bring this whole 5-year bus plan forward. And we've and it's amazing how, like I was saying before, when you're on the right path, things just fall into place for you.
Yeah, very true.
We looked at buying a bus, and I didn't hold much hope of selling the business that I had, but I announced to my clients that was probably the biggest bit that was breaking my heart, was having to leave these clients that I'd known, some of them for the 7 odd years that I'd been a PT. That was really quite
the relationships you've built up over that time. It's hard to walk away. Yeah.
Dead right. And when I said, I'm going to move to Perth and build a bus to live in, but I'll be back, and a lot of them said, well, who's going to train us? What are we going to do? We're a community. Who's going to lead us, type thing? And so I set about emailing a couple of PTs that I knew, saying, hey, do you want to step into a ready-made business? And luckily enough, one guy jumped at the opportunity and was able to step in and take over my business. So that was, July. We drove across here to Perth, loaded up just about all the possessions that we had left into the Ninja trailer, because it was still an empty shell at the time, towed it across the country. And so the plan now is we finish the bus first. So that's why the Ninja trailer's taken a bit of a back step. We're finishing the bus. So we bought a bus. That's gutted, and we're just starting work on that at the moment. And then, we're going to tow that around the country. So rather than just around the city of Adelaide, it's going to do laps of the country. So, that's really exciting. And I just can't wait to get it all done,
So how far away from completing the bus do you think you are?
We're hoping to have that done in a couple of months.
Oh, wow, okay.
We've just recently purchased it, and I'll put my cabinet making skills and my building
to the
skills
test.
to good use.
Very good.
Yep. So, and we've actually moved back to Perth as part of that process. So yeah, towed everything across the Nullarbor.
So,
and I've actually
so I was just going to ask. So, inside the actual bus, once it's complete, what would people come in and work out in it, or work out around it, or is it to come in and do education, or?
No, so the bus is going to be our house, pretty much.
Oh, right.
So that'll have our bed and living space and that sort of thing, and try and set that up in such a way that it's minimal impact on the environment and fully self-contained and
fantastic.
solar panels and that.
So the trailer is towed behind it?
Correct, yeah. Yep. So we'll tow this 1970s caravan behind it, and then, so it'll be a little bit of a consulting space on the inside, but mostly obstacles and storage on the inside, and it'll have a big frame that'll fold out one side. It'll be like monkey bars, chin-up bars, and I'll hang obstacles from it, and then there'll be balance beams, and I'm still working out how I'm going to get a warped wall inside it, but haven't given up on the idea. So the trailer will be the business side of things, and I'll take it to wherever the schools and parks and councils, and so I'd like to part of that be run seminars on getting back to primal movement and primal nutrition type things, and getting people connected back to the environment, because we get so disconnected from that, like we were saying, sitting at desks in fluorescent lighting and that sort of thing. It's I think that's been pretty detrimental to our health as a human race. So really just want to try and educate people on all those things, and then give them the opportunity to have a crack at doing their first pull-up or whatever it might be. If they're seasoned veteran at pull-ups, then they can have a crack at the salmon ladder or whatever else was set up. So so that's the idea.
So how do you envisage as you roll into town, into these towns that you're going to be passing through? Will you have already contacted the local council or the local schools about you and what you're doing before you arrive? How do you see that working?
So obviously I plan to use the power of social media for that. And when we first moved here to Perth, I had one of my sisters-in-law. My wife has like 5 sisters or something. So when I say sisters-in-law, there's heaps of them. But one of them said, "Oh, are you going to do some PT for me while you're here?" And I said, "Oh, I wasn't really planning on it." But she said, "Look, you should get in this Facebook group and post here that you're doing it." So I did that. And now I've got sort of 20 people attending sessions sort of part-time just in the local area, like 2 minutes from where I'm living, which is fantastic. So plan on looking for those Facebook groups and I guess planning our journey and looking ahead to say, okay, we're going to this place and that place, and contact those council schools and whatever else. And I think the remote areas particularly look for that sort of stuff. And one of my wife's other sisters lives in a place, or used to live in a place called Panawanica, which is in far northwest of WA. It's about 200 kilometres inland from Karratha, which people might have heard of. So up far northwest of WA. When she heard I was doing it, she actually contacted me and said, "Do you think you'd have that ready by November? Because we'd love some school holiday activities." I'm like, wow, that's my first booking,
Yeah, fantastic. So there's obviously a want and a need for it out in the community.
Yeah, definitely. So part of it will be having that social media profile and looking ahead to where we're travelling and pre-organising some visits. So still working out all the logistics of it as we roll into town. Don't necessarily want to have the bus right next to the caravan, although that wouldn't bother me at all. But I'm sure my wife and we're taking our 13-year-old with us, they're going to want some personal space. So depending on how we shift it around, we're just working out what we do as far as whether we park it. But anyway, that'll all resolve itself.
Yeah, take care of itself, I'm sure.
Yeah, roll into town with some sign writing on the side and awesome. All that sort of thing. Yeah.
So, mate, it all sounds very exciting. How can people follow your journey and get involved in what you're up to?
So having the PT brand, I've got a website, obviously, which it's still in transition from Adelaide stuff to Perth stuff, but that's just under my name. It's chriseves.com.au.
Yep, very nice.
I've also got a website for the Ninja Trailer, which is ninjatrailer.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I'm on Instagram as well at chris.eves.pt. And I've also come across a platform called Patreon where people can, so with Facebook, for example, when you're on Facebook, that's paid for by the advertisers, so they choose what you see and they'll fire ads at you. This other platform, Patreon, is a platform where people can subscribe to you as an individual at whatever level they like, and they're not seeing any ads or anything like that. So, and you can put out content. So I'm planning on releasing some online workouts on that. So I have a Patreon created already where people can jump on and either follow for free, or then as I release paid content, it'll be online workouts. They can join in those as well. So
that's a nice idea.
That's at patreon.com/Chris Eves, I think is what I created it as.
Am I also correct in thinking that you're doing a podcast as well?
I am, yes. I've recorded a couple episodes and just doing some fine tuning. So that will be announced and released through my website and through my Patreon. So people keep an eye on that. I got a couple of episodes in the pipeline, and wouldn't mind doing a reciprocal episode too, Nick. You could share your journey with us, or yourself and
definitely
Matt. Because the thing is it Matt that does the business side of things there?
My brother Matthew's the head honcho of Hyperbeat. That's correct. So I think you probably dealt with him a lot more in the past.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
So that'll come out through the website and through the Patreon, and as far as what platform that goes on, I don't know exactly how that works, but it's hopefully within the next month or so. Now that I'm a PT only part time, I've got some more time to do those things
to work
I've
on
always
it.
been doing.
Correct. Very good. Well, when it's up and running, let us know, and we'll give it a plug across our social media channels as well. Help get the message out there.
Excellent.
Mate, thank you very much for your time. It's been a fascinating chat about, it's great to get your whole life story inside of 30 minutes, but it's been fantastic to talk to you. We really appreciate the time, and good luck with the Ninja trailer and the big travel around Australia. It sounds fantastic.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, keep an eye on the social media, and I'm sure we'll keep you up to date with all the happenings.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks, mate. Take care.
No worries. Thank you very much.
If you'd like to be involved in an episode of the Hyperbeat podcast, send an email to info@hyperbeat.com.au or contact us through our social media channels.